Hey everybody, it's Zach with Bluegrass Rentals of EKY, and I wanted to share a video today discussing my why. Why another real estate YouTube channel? Why do I feel that I wanted to do this? And kind of give you some background reasons for Bluegrass Rentals of EKY, Instagram, YouTube, LLC, our investing, Airbnb, why all of that. And so I thought I would share that with you today to give you some context. Background of who I am. I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse since 2014. September 14th, 2014 was my first shift on the floor as a registered nurse at King's Daughters Medical Center in Ashland, Kentucky. I graduated nursing school when I was 20 years old. I am now 30, and I've been working as a registered nurse for 10 years, a decade, in multiple branches of care within the floor nursing space inside of hospitals. I've also done a little bit of home health nursing on the side while doing in-hospital work. My first 3 years of being a nurse, I was in step down. So it was very critical floor, a lot of sickness. It was a very traumatic, I wouldn't say traumatic, it was a very self-learning experience for me on that unit for those first 3 years of my career, because I grew up, around no death, essentially, to seeing patients die and people at their worst and sickness and people always hurting. And that was a big thing for me to work through in myself, both in my faith as well as in my day-to-day life, of how to manage all of that. And then from there, I went into neuroscience care, working with stroke and Alzheimer's, dementia, stroke, seizures, aneurysm type of patients. And then after that, COVID became a thing, and I did COVID for about 2 to 3 years straight. Saw a lot of really tough sickness there with patients. And then the last 4 years of my career, I have been travel nursing. So I've been traveling predominantly to Southern Ohio and Kentucky, Southern Kentucky hospitals. My favorite of which was Ohio State. So I've really enjoyed my career. I am proud of being a nurse. I'm thankful that I did that career path. I think it led me down the right trail. So I really enjoy being able to do that career. But over time, I started to think a little bit more. I'm like, hey, this is a great financial job. I like this job, but what else could there be in life for me? I like to learn new things, do new things. I get bored with things after a while sometimes and bounce around on hobbies, but I essentially started, thinking about finances a little bit. I've never really been a super financial minded person. I just basically collected checks, put them in a bank, and let them set. And that luckily that built my savings up over time, but it really didn't. I didn't learn. I didn't really invest in a really thoughtful manner. I didn't think about finances or my financial future at all. I didn't think about retirement really at all for pretty much that entire decade. And in the last couple of years, I started thinking about that stuff a little bit more. Now, during that time, I got married. I've had a son who is now 6 years, soon to be 6 years old. And I started thinking a little bit more about the future, about how much time I was giving up in my life to pursue this nursing career, and how much that was taking away from my time with my wife, whom I dearly love, and my son, whom I want to spend my life with. I got married and had children for a reason, because I want to be with them in my day-to-day life. And travel nursing takes up at least 50 to 60% of my life. I'm on the road away from my wife and son and family. So I really don't want to do that forever. And so I started reading and thinking about finances, and someone put this book in my hands. I don't even remember who or how I found out about it, but it's one of the most common financial books that there is. You'll know it from the jump. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book right here got my wheels turning on the concept of financial maturity and financial literacy and investing in general, especially as it relates to real estate. So for me, whenever I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and after I completed it, it really made me think like, hey, it is possible for a normal person to invest in real estate and gain a sense of financial liberty And it's not just for the uber rich or for the ultra wealthy or for the privileged from birth type of folks. And so I've been very blessed in my life, and I have lived a privileged life from birth, but I definitely didn't view myself as being able to be a real estate investor. That was nowhere in my personal identity. And so I began to dig that out, read other books, start listening to podcasts, watching videos, as I will share with you throughout my story as I post videos on this channel. But that suffice that to say that reading Rich Dad Poor Dad got my wheels turning in my mind. I then read another really great book, The Millionaire Next Door, and that book got me thinking about, the concept of money and literacy and financial maturity, which I had never thought of before and became an interesting concept to me. Then I went back to the Word of God, which is the basis for my personal life. And I encourage for you as a business person to let that be a guiding light in your life. And Proverbs chapter 24, verse 3 and 4 really jumped out to me. And I feel like that's what I want to be I guess you could say, a banner verse or a channel verse for this YouTube channel, sort of a anthem. And it says, "Through wisdom is a house built, by understanding it is established, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches." Proverbs 24, verse 3 and 4. So those types of concepts, reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, listening to God's Word and how it talks even about money, how it talks about investing, how it talks about hospitality, how it talks about building homes and houses and a generational wealth for your family, I started to really think that through a bit more and started to think that maybe this is okay. I can pursue this and not be in the wrong, or I can pursue this and be a nurse and work towards gaining financial freedom. And that's where this came in for me personally. So in the last 2 years, I've done a lot of soul searching and wondering why do this at all. It was easier for me when I was just being a nurse and coming home and then doing nothing except relaxing and being with my family. Now, pursuing real estate investing, I'm working more as a nurse than I've ever worked to fund our investment plans. And also when I'm off, analyzing deals, calling other investors, coordinating deals, looking for opportunities. I am working 2 jobs at once, and my life is busier now than it has ever been. And so why do that at all? And I started thinking to myself about the why. And and this may be different for you, but this is my channel and ultimately just my story I'm sharing with you, that ultimately you give a lot of yourself away when you work in the medical field. I've seen quite a few people die, probably compared to the average person on the street. I've held the hands of people that are dying and have done it quite often. In my line of work, I literally put the spoon to people's mouths when they're too sick to be able to feed themselves. And I'm not saying that as a brag or a boast or try to say, oh, I've done so much good. Not at all. But what I am saying is that you give up so much of your mental state, your mental health, your physical health to do that kind of job. People in the medical field will be able to relate to me and what I'm saying, especially other nurses. It's unbelievable how many nurses take antidepressants, are addicted to alcohol, or maybe other risky behaviors outside of work to cope with what they deal with in their day-to-day life as working as nurses in the hospital line of work. You see people at your worst all the time, both coworkers who are miserable with their jobs and burn out, especially since COVID happened, and the patients that you're working with and for to help them, yes, but they are equally miserable. They are sick. Their bodies are breaking down. Many of them are maybe at the end of their better days in terms of their physical capabilities, or even at the end of their life. And their families are distraught. They are distraught. You are distraught because you're being asked to build towers with nothing, being given more work than any average person should be given in a day. And that is exactly what working in the hospital nowadays is really like. And I feel like I have a pretty good opinion to that because I have been in over 10 different hospitals in the last 4 years. I've been working as a decade of my young life, my 20s to my 30s, as a nurse and doing it to the best of my ability. And At the end of the day, by giving up so much time away from my family, as well as giving away so much of myself mentally and physically and emotionally, there ultimately was like, I need to do something else. This cannot be my forever game plan. And so that is how I ended up pursuing real estate investing. Ultimately, how does it relate? Working as a nurse is a hospitality business. You are feeding people, you are clothing people, you are planning their day for them, medically speaking. You are doing so much in your day for everybody else. Sometimes I know how I feel when I get off. I am so physically exhausted that I have just done nothing for myself the entire day, barely even had time to go to the bathroom. And by the time I get to sit down, I am just capped on doing anything for anybody else. And I know that's how people in many lines of work feel, but that's how I feel a lot of the time. And you're doing so much for others. And that's really what the hospitality industry is all about. It's about doing something for others, providing a service. And in exchange, there's compensation for that. To the level of professionalism and service that you provide is the level at which you will find yourself being compensated, which is the great thing about a free market. And the Bible talks a lot about hospitality. Titus chapter 1, verse 8, 1 Timothy 5:10, 1 Peter 4:9, and Romans 12:13 all mention hospitality as being a righteous thing, caring for others as being a biblical mindset and attitude to have. And as we have that attitude in business and life, we get justly compensated in return for that. If we do it towards God, there's an eternal compensation, yes, but in this life also, there's a compensation from men as you seek to serve others. One of my favorite baseball hats I have up there, and you've seen it in another video, one of my thumbnails says serve on the bill of the hat. And that's exactly what we are called to do in life, is serve God and serve others. And that's perfectly in line, wedding the two with being an RN to being a real estate investor, of being a human being in the hospitality industry, of being a nurse in the hospitality industry, of wedding those two concepts together to pursue financial freedom in serving others in that kind of way. Ultimately, in doing all of this, I started to learn about Airbnb and Vrbo. I've never listed any of my properties on Vrbo, but I have had 3 Airbnbs: a 3-bed, 2-bath house and 2 2-bed, 1-bath apartments. And all of them were rental arbitrage in Ashland, Kentucky. We had them for a year. Right at a year, we grossed $60,000. Our net profit was somewhere around $22,000 to $23,000 on that investment, and our year one investment in that was $27,000 in furniture for those 3 rental arbitrages. So we almost made 100% return in our first year from 2023 to 2024. And when I saw that, my mind was blown. I was like, you can actually make money doing this. I somewhat really doubted myself, and I struggle with that some. I'm like, I went to college to be a nurse. I've been doing it for 10 years. Yeah, I could do it almost in my sleep sometimes, it feels like. It's something I'm so used to doing. So to go out and start another career just seems like, can I really do this? Is this really something that God has for me, or is this something that I can do, that I can learn and figure out? And so that is what happened. And I was really pleased with that experience. From those investment monies, we then bought land in the Red River Gorge of Kentucky. In Campton, Kentucky, we bought about 3.25 acres in Victory Falls HOA of Campton, Kentucky, for the purpose of some cabin builds, which will be full-time Airbnbs in the Red River Gorge Natural Bridge State Park area of Kentucky, which is a very booming, up and coming, something you'll see on this channel, kind of short-term rental market. In fact, Kenny Bedwell of STR Insights at the Short-Term Rental Wealth Conference in Nashville, Tennessee this past year shared that one of his top markets to invest for 2024 is Slade, Kentucky. Less than 8 minutes from where my house and land I bought is at in East Kentucky. So as we have invested, as we have prayed, as we have really sought knowledge through studying other investors, listening to Rob Built and Real Estate Robinsons and Fearless Kyle and so many other YouTube channels and other people, I have grown the confidence that I can be a nurse, I can be a real estate investor. And the goal is to leave full-time real estate investing, full-time registered nursing at some point, hopefully in the nearest future, to being full-time real estate investing. And that is the purpose, the plan, the why of this YouTube channel. I pray and I hope that you will see that there's value in that. I just plan to share my journey, what I have learned. I don't intend to bring anything dramatically new to the table other than maybe a Christian take on Airbnb investing, and bring to you a channel that is my own perspective, as I am my own person. I'm not you and you are not me. I'm not Rob Built or the Real Estate Robinsons. I'm nobody but Zach Humphrey, and I just want to share my journey, my story, and my passion I've come to have for real estate investing with you as you follow along with me, and encourage you to pursue that, to get out of a career that you're not happy with, or to learn and to live a new life that you want to pursue, like investing in real estate. It's very hard. It's very challenging. It takes up your time. It is not passive. It takes you being involved every day, making those steps towards financial liberty. But consistency will get you there. I love one thing that Rob Built says. It's really cool. He says it's not hard, but it is hard work. It's not hard, it's just hard work. It's consistency. It's giving yourself to that every single day to some capacity. And there's some days I miss it. Some days I don't. Some days I feel lazy. I'm like, is this really what I want? Am I really going to do this? Because, like I said, the career I'm already in takes so much from me. And I want to give time to my family when I'm around as well. But it's possible. And it's possible for you. I pray that you will subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be reminded or alerted when I post a new video, as I plan to publish new videos every week discussing real estate investing concepts, mindset, finance, and personal freedom, as well as just share my day-to-day vlog life and journal as you follow along with me as we build the Victory Falls A-frame, as we do other cabin development in the surrounding Kentucky state, and as we work to grow the short-term rental and tourism market in the state of Kentucky, as I think this state is very slept on, and Kentucky is coming up as one of the best places to travel to with your friends and family in the coming years ahead. So thank you, subscribe, join the journey. Thank you for being here. I look forward to sharing value with you. Have a good day. Bye.